hello everyone again, and I sent Tristan's bio link to everyone already in my announcement, so you perhaps already know a little bit about him. And Tristan is one of our alumni and who has been, as far as I know, he was very keen in working on machine learning and data analytics and data visualization. And I'm looking forward to hear where he is now, and so pleased to have him back to talk to us. And I give the floor to you and to introduce yourself.
Awesome, thank you very much. So yes, my name is Tristan Cobourne, and I also studied at the University of Bedfordshire. I'll tell you just a little bit about me, and then I've got some considerations, things for you to think about, some tips and tricks, a little discussion on my early career. I've got some reading material for you guys, and just essentially leaving you guys with some food for thought for your potential journey going onwards. So originally, I was born in the United Kingdom in a borough called Hackney, which is in London. At the time, say the late 90s, early 2000s, is actually quite rough there. I was part of a family raised by a single mother. So going to university meant that I was eligible for the government payment scheme. So they paid for my tuition and then also provided a maintenance loan that I was able to use to like pay for things like rent or food and stuff. But even with that, I still decided to work, but I'll get onto that into some of the further slides. So I graduated in 2014. I studied software engineering. I was quite particular over the course that I wanted to pick. I understand that there's some networking courses. There's also computer science, which was a bit more broad, but I had a very solid idea of what it was that I wanted to do. I knew that I wanted to be a developer or have some involvement within actual writing the code. As of now, today, I guess the closest role that I can assign myself to is a software consultant. So what I do is I will go into a client's place of work, maybe join one of the teams there and maybe play the role of a lead developer, or maybe kind of just take a little back seat, maybe see how the team's working, the things that they're good at, maybe the things that they're not so good at, and then I'll just provide some experience and just say, hey, I think maybe you should try to do this differently or try to add this just to try and make the team a bit more efficient at whatever they're trying to do. I'm fortunately now in a position where I actually have two businesses. So one of them is a property investment business where the idea is that I want to purchase property, refurbish, and then either sell or hold and rent it out to other people and such. And the other business, which is a bit more related to what I actually do, is called Kind Art, where that is based around software development. But I've got some slides on that and we will definitely get to that. My journey has been featured in some newspapers. So whether we've heard of the Times or the Metro and the Sun. So they've written a few articles about me, which was quite fortunate. And yeah, so my early career was an interesting one. Excuse me. I decided to have a work experience in a company called 5-1 as a quality assurance executive. So at the time, I told everybody I wanted to be a developer. Please, I want to be a developer. And there was no roles available for that. But they said, okay, well, we don't have any testers. Maybe you can like try to get as close as possible to the code and you can actually be a tester. So I joined this company and that was my first introduction to, say, a real working experience of how code works and how teams work together. And it was quite a good insight. At first, I felt a bit like disheartened that I didn't actually get to do a work experience in something directly to what I wanted to do, but it was still good enough to be able to get close and actually experience what the teams do and such. Whilst I was at university, I actually worked at Sports Direct. So as what something that the previous speaker mentioned was the importance of like trying to apply whatever you want to do in the things that you're currently doing. So again, Sports Direct had a lot of that kind of customer customer relations aspect of stuff. So how to speak to people and interact with people. You know, you're still problem solving. It's not coding, but you're still doing things that you're going to have to do within the coding environment. I then went on to be a door supervisor. If you don't know what that is, a more common term is a bouncer. So I did that whilst I was at university as well. And again, absolutely nothing to do with coding, but again, it's that problem solving and trying to kind of defuse situations and try to find a common ground where everybody's happy and make sure that everything's okay. If you're interested in becoming an engineer or a developer, you're gonna have to do this like so many times. So like get used to it as early as possible. After graduation, my first role was as a C# developer. I joined a small company. So prior to doing that, actually, I tried to apply for a graduate scheme, and it was for Sky. And Sky at the time, I think it was a 4 or 5 step process. So you had the telephone interview, you had a test, you then had an in-person interview, and then they had like an academy day where you had to go in and actually do a test working within a team with other people who were also being tested at that moment of time. And I got to the final stage and actually failed. Again, extremely disheartening because I nearly got to the space where I actually really want that. I was going to do something I really wanted to do. Got to the final stage and then failed. But I continued applying for roles, and then this is when I then found the junior C# position. I was there for maybe a year and a half, and how the graduate scheme works is that if you failed 1 year, you're able to apply again for the next year. So I always had it in my mind that I was going to work, or I was going to apply for that graduate scheme again. And I learned all the skills that I could as possible whilst I was being the junior C# engineer, and then reapplied for the Sky graduate scheme again. And that time I was actually successful. Now, that role wasn't in C#, it was in JavaScript, which at the time they were doing a massive rewrite for the Sky Go desktop platform. And it was a brand new team that was formed, and I was able to see a project for the first time start from like concept to initial workings of actually how we're going to put this product together and stuff. So it was a really good experience. I then decided that I wanted to break out of the standards. Okay, I'm going to be a junior developer, then I'm going to be a normal developer, then I'm going to be a senior developer. I always felt that I don't know, I could do more if I really applied my mind to it. So I actually decided to kind of break out of that structure, and I decided to go contracting. Now, at the time, everybody advised me not to do it because I think I was maybe 2 to 3 years maximum in my career. I had various recruiters suggest, hey, you know, it's too early. We don't recommend that you do this. Maybe do a few more years. But I was adamant. I was like, no, I definitely want to do this. And then I managed to get my first contracting role. Now, in order to be a contractor, you have to create a company. Well, you don't have to, but it's one of the most common ways. So I decided to create a limited company, which is called Kind Art. And at first, it was just an intermediary, I guess. So they would pay the limited company, and then they would then pay me to provide the engineering services that they would require. Contracting was very interesting in that you go from not expecting to know much to them expecting you to know absolutely everything. And there is nobody to kind of handhold you in that sense to say, okay, you know, this is what you're going to do today. This is what we need to do. It's like you need to come in ready to go there and then. But depending on the type of individual that you are, that may not be a problem, because what it means is, you know, over the weekends where maybe perhaps You would have been going out and I don't know, like doing your hobbies and stuff like that. Now you actually have to focus and learn something new, or just make sure that your skills remain sharp, so that the next time you interact with a client, you're at the top of your game. So I then realized that I needed to actually make Kind Art something a little bit more than it was at that moment of time. So we're in a space now where Kind Art is a creative design and digital agency. So Kind Art provides development services, so such as web design or application development, but then now also includes things like content creation. So whether you need videography or photography to add to any of your social media and stuff like that. And then also has the consultancy aspect. So as I said, again, just going into a team, maybe just watching and seeing what they're doing well and what they're not doing so well and such. My clients have included Tesco's, so I've helped them to build an internal client tool. I've worked with British Gas. If you wanted to purchase home insurance from British Gas, I was part of that team that released that project. And then my latest project was with a company called Homegate, which was based in Switzerland. So I was actually living in Switzerland last year. And basically Homegate provide properties similar to the UK's Rightmove. One of the things with business though is you kind of need an off-the-shelf product. It's good to be able to provide services and stuff, but for me personally, I think it works really well when a customer can actually come to your business, buy something and leave happily with that thing. Therefore, you don't need to be so involved with trying, like you're not chasing your own tail trying to generate income and such. So at the moment, I'm trying to build a application called Social Squared, which is based around event management. So we're experiencing the coronavirus right now, so there isn't any events, or they're all virtual. But the idea is that in the future, this application will be able to help businesses get back up on their feet, and I guess like, well, I guess get back up on their feet for as cheap as possible. This is the idea that I have in mind. But what I wanted to also note about Kind Art is it never started in this space. So I've told you about it being a limited company and all of these things, but in the beginning, it actually started as a creative arts blog. And I'll speak on that a little bit later when I touch on the considerations and stuff like that. So just a few things that I recommend that you consider. These aren't things I'm telling you to do, it's just things I definitely think you should keep in mind throughout the journey of your progression as an engineer. But learn as much as you can, especially in the early days. Honestly, like, even if you have to, like, consider just playing dumb. Even if you don't know something, if you think you've heard something 1,000 times, listen to it again. You're going to meet various people along your journeys who's going to do things in various different ways. And it's very easy to say, meet one person and you like that person and you feel like whatever they say is gospel and it's the best way to do things. But then you'll go somewhere else and they'll do it completely different. There isn't one perfect way to do things, but I think one of the greatest things about my experience of going to so many different clients and working in so many different places is that you're able to combine all of the knowledge, and you can actually see, oh, this person here, they thought they knew the right way. This person here also thought they knew the right way, but because I've seen both of their outputs, I can actually see, now there's a problem here and here. Let me take the best of both and then create another version. And you're only able to do that if you actually learn as much as possible. I strongly recommend working on a personal project. You can get to a point where maybe you could even Google one or try to recreate something that already exists, you know. As I mentioned, that Kind Art started off as a creative arts blog. I think even before that, it was a forum. I was like, I really liked playing Street Fighter and I wanted to create a forum where people could speak. And I would have never imagined that now today, it's actually a limited company. So I just recommend, like, start a personal project. It's going to get those creative juices flowing. You'll be thinking about things, and then you're going to get to a space where you never know, it might just grow into something that you just had no idea that it would be at that given time. Real world experience is vital. I think that's one of the hardest things that I struggled to get to grips with when I finished university. I finished university and I was like, right, I know how to do my job. Right, I've got the degree, I'm awesome. But it didn't really work out like that. I would have countless of interviews where they would turn around and say to me, okay, well, what's your real world experience though? And at the time, it's quite disheartening. But then there are tools such as Upwork. Now, I got onto this quite late. If you're able to create an account today, even or just during your studies, try to get some work on Upwork. Create a profile and interact with potential clients. And definitely like put yourself out there so that you know how to negotiate and things like that as early as possible. My recommendation is that it's better to get it wrong now, correct it and get it right by the time you graduate, than instead of graduating, trying to get it right then and then more time passing. Another tool is Freelancer, which is great as well to try and get some freelance work for yourself. One of the things I don't feel was really expressed to me at the time of my education, not so much directly related to Bedfordshire, but just in general, so my peers or family and stuff, is you don't have to work for the big companies. When I graduated, all I had in my mind was I wanted to work for a bank, I wanted to work for Sky, and I wanted to work for all the big names. But there are so many cool startup companies and small businesses where you can learn so much more. But I think what is important is that you work for a company that actually invests in you. So, you know, Sky, for example, or probably not a good example because Sky is actually a big company, but my first company as a C# developer, they allowed me to take a day each week to study and think about, okay, well, where do I want to take my career? What do I actually want to do? During that time, I actually was able to build a product that Social Squared now is sort of based on. So find a company that will actually invest in you and they're genuinely interested in what you want to become. You don't want to kind of join a company where you're just going to be a cog and you're just going to code all day or what have you. You have to spend money to make money. I don't think there's a truer statement. So save right now if you can, if you do receive a maintenance loan or if you've got any surplus income, try your hardest, or if you don't, just try your hardest to put away, if it could be £5 a month, £10 a month, it's all going to add up. And then you can purchase yourself a subscription to various platforms. So Udemy, for example, is an awesome video platform. A lot of the time they actually offer free material, so you can purchase something that might be like £100 and then there's actually £10 for a week. They do that all the time. So if you see something that's expensive, just wait it out, and they're always doing deals, and they've got so much content on their platform. It's unbelievable. You could consider signing up to a Cloud Academy, which is a lot of cloud-based stuff. So if you're interested in AWS, Google Cloud, Azure, stuff like that. Alternatively, you could sign up to Pluralsight, which is a bit more broad. It can cover like business topics, as well as engineering, project management aspects. Pluralsight is my personal favorite, but genuinely, like, you have to invest in yourself if you actually want to get to a space. So I have just a few tips and tricks. Create yourself a LinkedIn. I have a CV. In all honesty, I actually don't know where it is, but I'm fortunate in that sense. It says as I'm working through my own company now, so all my information is there for the services that I offer. But I highly recommend creating LinkedIn. I'm experiencing a general shift over to this platform where more and more people are actually doing business over on there. It also means that you put all your information into LinkedIn one time, And then if you ever do need to create a CV, you can copy and paste it out of there. You're not chasing for where this document is or updating it here and stuff like that. You have one solid source of information that is publicly available at all times. And you can connect with people. So, if you do want to work for those big firms or those big companies, you can find somebody who might just be like, I don't know, a receptionist or any position, and you connect with them, speak with them, and just say, hey, are there any roles going in this company? Is it possible to get any work experience? Like, I just want to get my foot in through the door. Are you able to help? LinkedIn is honestly a great tool for that. It's worth noting that engineering is actually broad. So another concept I had when I studied software engineering was that all I was going to do was code. I was going to just bury my head in the keyboard, code. I didn't care about the day-to-day exercises and things that project managers had to do, or product owners, designers. I wasn't interested. But the further that I developed my career, I actually understood that developing was actually the smallest part of my day-to-day job. And the larger parts of things was actually communicating with people, hosting meetings, trying to find solutions, like just crossing T's, dotting the I's, essentially. So whatever it is that you are studying and you have that general interest of it, you will definitely get to do those things, but understand that there is a larger aspect to it. Something I have to say is remember to enjoy the process. If you're not going to enjoy what it is that you're doing, you're definitely gonna find it hard. I am a massive advocate for doing what you enjoy. Bear with me one moment. Yeah, I'm a massive advocate for enjoying what it is that you're doing. Otherwise, yeah, as I said, you're gonna struggle. And build relationships. I think that's one of the greatest things about my career is that I've been able to meet so many people where today, if I wanted to work somewhere, I could give them a call and just say, hey, is there anything going? Is there any jobs and stuff? I can jump in very quickly. I could work for 6 months and then leave again. And one of the biggest things I have to recommend is planning. Now, planning is a tough one because, if I told you right now, okay, write a 10-year plan, you have no idea what your life's going to be like in 10 years. But what you could actually do is you could start small, get used to planning maybe for tomorrow and then for next week and then the month. And if you find yourself that you're actually getting good at planning for those timeframes, then you can actually increase it. So then you could do, say, I don't know, 1 year, 3 years, and 5 years. But actually write a plan so that you're working towards something. And when you achieve something, it's going to feel good and it's going to make you want to keep on going and really like try to achieve what it is that you've written down. That's like my idea for kind art and stuff. In the beginning, I just had an idea. I says, okay, I want to have my own business one day. I want to do something. I don't know what that looks like, but I've got this rough idea of how I want to get there, and I wrote it down. And then it's just been a daily cause of just trying to achieve those things. So I've just got some reading material for you guys. These are books. As I said, it's not so much entirely the content of all the books. It's just, again, just that food for thought. A few topics that just make you think, it's going to get you thinking about things. You might read these books and then branch off onto other things. But one of my favorites was 97 Things Every Programmer Should Know. And it's basically a compilation of various authors' tips and tricks in one book. So you kind of get all the gems from various books in one book, just a nice short read. If you are looking to be a developer, or again, maybe even not, because as I said, if you're going to be a product owner or branch off and be a scrum master or various other positions, it is worth understanding what engineers or developers do, so that you're just not in the dark. But Clean Code is a really good book. It touches on topics such as simple as commenting in your code. So we're taught to comment everything that we do, but you could actually just name the variable or name the function appropriately, and then you don't actually need to write a comment anymore. And that's a good book on those examples. It touches on a few acronyms such as YAGNI, so the concept of you ain't gonna need it, prove it or lose it, stuff like that. As I said, you have to enjoy what it is that you're doing, and not everything is based around the subject material. So I've recommended this book. It's not how good you are, it's how good you want to be. And that book, it is full of inspiration and motivation. As I said, it's outside of the subject material, but I feel like a lot of growth actually comes from outside of that. If the rest of your life is flourished, the things that you're going to want to do are going to be more flourished too. There's another book called Managing Anger. This isn't a suggestion to say that anyone here has anger issues. I don't have anger issues. I just feel like it's a great book in that, again, it's just those concepts of how to handle different scenarios. One of my favorite, I'll say, passages in that book is the concept of if somebody bumped into you, and it's if you were on a cold, rainy day, and I don't know, you've lost your phone and you're really upset, and someone bumps into you, you're going to notice it. You're probably going to get agitated. But then if you change the scenario and you just won £1 million and someone bumped into you, would you even realize? And it's probably not, but the same situation happened in each instance. So you have control over your actions and how you behave at all times. And I feel like those concepts are quite important, again, when it comes to people managing and interacting with other people. Another example I have was when I was in Switzerland. The Swiss German language is quite abrupt, and I struggled with that initially. I may ask a question, I would say, would you like a drink? And in the UK, we are quite passive in that we'll say, no, thank you, or I'm not thirsty, I'm okay, thanks. But over there, it was no. And it was a bit like, oh, okay. But again, it's just handling those cultural differences and just being more socially aware of stuff. And then another read that is recommended for all programmers is The Pragmatic Programmer. It's just a staple. I think this book is going to be around for years and years to come. So definitely check it out. But yeah, that essentially brings me to the end of my presentation. But please, if you have any questions, don't hesitate. As I said, you can get in contact with me through my Instagram. You can find me on LinkedIn. If you're interested in like a concept of work experience, definitely give me a shout, because I said I'm building the app Social Squared. If you are an engineer or developer, or just want to just have a talk or see what Social Squared is doing, again, you're more than welcome to get involved. Yeah, I'm here to help, essentially, and I just wish you all the best on your journey. But that's me.
Thank you very much, Tristan. And this is so good to hear your journey, and I feel so proud, to be honest, and what you have achieved. And I still remember when we were working on the final year project, and now you are a boss. Wow. And I actually laughed about the managing your anger issues. I think don't the programmers actually occasionally have the anger issue when they have the bugs in the code when they can't solve it?
Yes.
Have they?
Oh, yes.
And banging on their computers and
Exactly.
Yeah, so definitely a good read. And I will go to find some of those books, and I'm going to read myself. And thanks for sharing.
No worries, no worries.
So what about questions? Anybody in the room who have got any questions? Okay, so maybe may I ask one if
Yeah, please.
allowed? Yes. Okay. So what do you see yourself now? I mean, I still remember in my D103 office, that office is no longer existing, Tristan. We now got a new STEM building. They knocked that wing over, knocked that down, and they built a new block called the STEM building. And so yeah, come back to visit. I show you around after the COVID. Yeah, so that D103 office is no longer there, but I still remember we had a meeting in that room. So remember that day, that was many years ago. And then now, looking back, do you think you will do anything differently if you have a chance to re-journey that few years?
In all honesty, I just wish that, you know, there's a thing like to do things differently would make me different to who I am today. So I definitely think it's important to respect and understand that the process will take its time. You will find your way. If you want to find your way, you will find your way no matter the time. But if I could change something, maybe it would be that I wish that I understood things a little bit faster. Maybe instead of being invested in maybe say partying and stuff during university, then I actually studied a little bit more, or I read the books that I recommended a bit earlier. Maybe concepts like that. And that one thing is just to not let my nerves get the best of me. Earlier on in my career, I kind of, when someone puts the word junior ahead of your title, it made me feel a little bit lesser. It made me feel like I didn't have a voice when, say, the seniors were speaking. But in the world of engineering, everybody's voice is just as important, no matter where you are on the spectrum. Because even today, I would consider myself as a senior engineer, but I've done things the way I do things for years now. I might not know the new ways to do stuff, whereas somebody who's a junior, they've got fresh thoughts, new ways to do stuff. So you can actually have a better way for me to do something. So I think it's important that, like, if I could do it again, as I was early on in my career, to understand that my voice actually had weight in what was happening around me.
Exactly. I fully agree with you, actually. To be honest, I learn from students day by day. And by, for example, supervising students' project, I just feel like, you know, I learn the fresh knowledge from you guys. Because as you said, when you are busy with all the other things, daily management or administration, you just don't have more time to learn the new things and fresh ideas. And it just really feel refreshing when you hear from the student and what they know about. You just feel like, wow, I wish I know that, you know. Yes, definitely. Enjoy your journey, isn't it? From junior to senior it's a journey, and do enjoy every bit, and don't feel you know, like you are small or less experienced, and share your opinions. It will be valuable to people and to the team. Yes, and thank you. Yeah, and at that day when we were having meetings, for example, when you were doing your final year project, did you actually see where you would be now, or you had no idea this would happen?
I didn't, because again, as I said about the plans, I had the rough idea. I definitely said, okay, yeah, I want to have my own company, right? Like, well, so does everybody really. I didn't know what it looked like, but when I kind of, as each day was going past and I went on to the new role and the new role, I was like, I'm getting closer now. Like, it might actually become a real thing. But no, during those meetings, then I had no idea. I knew I wanted it, but I had no idea.
Okay, that's really interesting. Do you think it is important for people to have a long-term plan?
Yes, I think it is vital. Imperative, yeah, most definitely. Otherwise, you're kind of just navigating in the dark, kind of hoping for the best. let's say like if you don't have a plan, then I present you with two options. Both options are going to be equal at that moment of time. But if you have a plan, one option might take you closer towards your plan and actually you have a greater investment for you. So even if it's just a rough idea, honestly, you say to yourself, I don't know, you could be saving, you know, I want £100 in 3 months. Then you know that you need to put away £1 every day. You need to do this or whatever else, you know. So I think it's vital to have a plan. There's no doubt.
Good to know. And just message to the students in the room. I am currently teaching the IT employability skills, and then part of the learning outcome is to encourage a student to make your long-term and short-term plan. So okay. I what do I say? Me and Tristan didn't share notes beforehand, okay? So we both think that it's important. So that's good. Thank you for the confirmation.
No worries.
Sure. Okay, any questions coming in? No, we haven't got anything in the chat room. Anybody want to ask any questions?
No.
No, but I have to say your talk is really good and it's been comprehensive. So, and all the message delivered, I think, is really beneficial to us. So we're going to reflect on those talks during our next few sessions, as well as hopefully the assessment 2, where we're going to do some reflection on the students' career path. So hopefully, okay. I'm sure this will be very beneficial for them. And anybody who is not attending here today for whatever reason, and the video will be available, and I will share the video with you as well, Tristan.
Yes, please.
Yes, so it's going to be sitting in Umbriel within our university server. So only people with links who can access it. So we won't put it publicly available unless you want to do it yourself. Okay. Yes, so just to let you know. Okay. All right, no more comments or questions? Okay, but yeah, thank you very much for your time and sharing all the journey's experience with us.
No, you're welcome. No, thank you for the opportunity.
Okay, yes, as said, I will share the slides. Contact details is in the link, the bio link. And please get in touch with Tristan if you are interested in working with him on a internship or any placement for your work, for your short or long. Of course, feel free to discuss with him. And he's your boss, maybe, but he's also your alumni. So yes, sure.
Awesome.
Thank you for your time, Tristan. Yep.
Thank you. Take care, everybody. See you. Bye-bye.
Okay, thank you. Bye.